looks so cute. We should put her on camera.
We'll flash him over there beforehand.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's why I bring her.
Yeah, there you go.
She makes you look good.
And then you have the uke for all your seminars.
I do. The ones that she's able to attend, she is definitely my uke.
That's awesome. You go to like quite a bit of them. You're part of the most of the seminars.
Yeah.
That's
all
awesome.
The cool locations.
All the good
Yeah,
locations.
she'll go to.
We qualify for that. That's good.
Yeah,
Yay.
when I threw Alaska in there, she's like, "I'm going," because both of us have never been.
Yeah.
When I said Missouri, she's like, "I'm staying."
I'll pass on Missouri. I don't blame you either. It doesn't sound like there's anything in Missouri for me. What's some of the best places you guys have been?
To be honest, my personal favorite is always Japan.
Okay.
And I'm sure she loves that one too.
That
We
makes
try to go
sense.
at least once a year.
Oh,
that
really?
one.
Nice.
Just the whole experience, the food, the culture. Everything. Every time we learn something or see something, just some part of history over there, and I feel it's one of the safest places to see such a wide array of history and just everything is it's all accessible. It's all, like I said, and just, you always feel at ease. Like there's not any bad parts of town where you ever feel like, maybe I shouldn't go here.
Yeah.
It all, it's just everything's wonderful.
Very unlike Missouri.
Yeah, different. Yeah.
Do you guys ever get into the country there too, or is it's staying in the city?
I have.
Okay.
I think she hasn't gotten to any of the country trips of Japan yet.
Yeah.
But usually those ones take a little bit more time just for you got to get out there.
Yeah.
And
Are all you guys' trips out there just kind of planned around seminars, or is it just vacation based?
Usually, I would say we don't really take too much vacation time. It's usually everything's based on jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
Just to help, number one, usually ease the cost of depending on where we're going.
For sure.
And then I think that's a lot of times that's the access to places is if we were just to go to Japan, I feel like we would be on a tourist route. We can totally look up stuff, but it's when you go with, I feel like the jiu-jitsu route first, someone's taking care of you a little bit. They'll suggest places. Hey, next time you come, stay here, or we have this spot, or make sure you go. You make friends there, and come to our gym next time you come. So it's I feel like the first trip always will open up the doors, and then it's it would be almost, I'd feel guilty if I came back and didn't do jiu-jitsu again, because I feel like everyone's at least when we visit our friends, it's it's usually based on that. So awesome. I feel compelled, I've got to part of the reason you wanted to see us is so you can get the train again and learn something new, or so
is there a language barrier?
Slightly. I would say this past year I've been going to Japan since 2006, but I've only gotten my Japanese to a caveman level, and I do great.
That's good. That's good.
Everyone is so adamant to help you that never had to really learn more. But this past trip, I would say when we went with we'd hang out with friends. If they didn't have their English, our conversation was dead. And it's that made us feel kind of bummed. So this past time, I think since January, not so much in this past month, but since January we started doing Japanese lessons.
Awesome.
And so that was really fun.
That's great.
Nice to be ready for next year.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And so especially with Hawaii, we have a handful of Japanese students, and so and one of the moms happened to be a language teacher as well. So it's that worked out perfect.
That did. Do you find yourself using the app or Google Translate?
More so for signs, helping with reading things, but I would say more times we would I guess we would look for a certain word. I think I would find my base word, just look in the dictionary for the word that I need, and then once you get that across, everyone's kind of okay, we know what you want.
Gotcha.
They do a really good job of trying to help you out.
Yeah.
With they want to make sure you got them. Whatever you asked them, they answered it to the best of their ability. And it's everything is very honorable. It's you ask a question, they don't want to give you a bad answer. They want you to have the best answer. They'll lead you by hand sometimes to make sure you get to the right one. And it's it's so. I had one lady.
It's gotta be a night and day difference from
America.
Some places in America,
yeah,
right?
just absolutely.
People give you the wrong direction on purpose. Fuck that guy.
Fuck that guy.
Yeah.
I did a pilgrimage or a hike in Japan that was 880 miles. Took quite a bit of time, and I remember just one point I wasn't really lost, but you get to that point where I'm just kind of burned out, and it's man, I really hope what is on the map is up here.
Yeah.
And I stopped and I'm hey, just want to make sure I'm showing her on the map. She's the only one I saw in that bakery, and she walked not very far, but far enough that like, hey, go back to your shop.
Yeah.
But she wanted to make sure that I saw the
Very
sign
nice.
that she was, that's where you're looking for. But she was, she just chased me out of there. And where did we go eat before too? And I left my phone or my wallet. They chased me down.
Japan, he leaves his phone and his wallet at the restaurant, and this woman, we leave the restaurant, we're just like all the way down the street, and she's like,
Yeah.
here's your wallet.
Yeah.
Like that would never would have happened.
That
in
would
America.
never would happen.
No, not at all.
They would just take everything out of the wall and toss it
Or
to the
that, or
side.
they'll hold it and hope you call.
Yeah, like, well, maybe he'll come back.
Yeah,
And if he
exactly.
doesn't come back tomorrow, then we'll take his wallet.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
We'll put it in the lost and found and
Yeah.
label it right here behind the counter.
Yeah. Oh, man, that's crazy.
But I've lost my wallet before, and on that hike,
Yeah.
I dropped. It wasn't a wallet; it was like a coin purse that I
Yeah.
just kept stuffing my money into, and I had like $800.
Nice.
And I left it on the ground. Just happened to forget it when I was emptying my bag out.
Yeah.
Went back after everything was closed, and bummed that I thought I lost it. Searched everywhere, and then right there in the middle of the walkway, just sitting where
Just
I
still
left
there,
it,
right?
all the money in it. Man, it's like people won't touch stuff that's not theirs. It's
Yeah,
like,
good for them.
granted, I think if you go into Tokyo and you leave something a little bit more prized, like sunglasses,
Yeah.
those do get taken.
Yeah,
but,
that's probably that makes more sense. Like the bigger like city, something like that.
That would
full
make
of
sense.
tourists too. So like
Mm-hmm.
that don't have like that respect, then that makes a lot more sense.
Where do you go when you go to Japan?
We've been all over actually, but usually we stay center in Tokyo. One of the bases there, I have a black belt who's in charge of the classes on Yokosuka Naval Base, and so we'll usually go like center it off of them, and then I have a few friends that we'll just kind of always pop back into their gym because especially you get to see a lot of their students grow and just see, I've met you when you were a single guy, then I met you when you were married, and we met your kid, and now you get to see your kid grow up, and like so it's cool to go back to a lot of the same gyms. But one year we went to Gifu, which is a little bit further away, and we went to got to see some original castles that hadn't been bombed and didn't get blown
nice.
up, and this past year we went to Kyoto, which is the first time for us to like either one of us to like stay in Kyoto. I've walked through it,
Yeah.
but never stayed and saw the sights, and so I think every year we try to, like I said, see a little someplace new we haven't been to, but I would say Tokyo is always the center.
Yeah.
It's such a good time.
Nice.
So much fun.
Is Tokyo just like an easy hub, like in the center of all these places?
It is, and it just makes the way they've designed, like if they didn't invent it, they've made it better.
Yeah.
And so their organization, the travel, the train schedule, it's like there's almost no excuse for not being able to get anywhere like if the train is delayed, it's purely because someone killed themselves.
Yeah.
They jumped in front of it. That's the only reason the train stops. And so even then, they're very fast at cleaning up
Yeah.
and getting it right back onto schedule. It's like it's so common that that's just a kind of a thing. Like you'll even see it on the thing, like train delay, human something.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh God. But
It's the complete,
it's
except
so-
for the guy killing himself. That's the complete opposite of America.
And that's selfish, 'cause
Everything
you'll-
here just gets made worse, right?
yeah, well, I feel like it's selfish. Go kill yourself some other way.
Yeah.
You're gonna step up. You're gonna mess up everybody else's day. Like, dude, I gotta get to work. But it's the ease of access. You can interact with just the whole city, which I don't know how big it is, but it's the second largest city, first largest city in the world, and you can just get to anywhere within an hour, and then everywhere it's like. Everywhere has internet, everywhere has Wi-Fi, everywhere has some kind of amazing food that you just want to try and eat everything.
Yeah.
And full of history. Like, have you seen the movie The 47 Ronin?
Is that the Keanu Reeves one?
Yeah,
I have not seen
he's
that.
based on a true story, but without Keanu.
Yeah.
But that
wasn't
real-
there like superpowers in it or something?
I don't know
Or,
how-
like,
yeah,
it
they
got-
did some funky
It got a
stuff.
little like obviously they gotta make it more theatrical, right?
Right.
For-
Well, real story is like basically like a governor comes to the town. The mayor of the town is like, greeting him. The governor's an asshole, treats people very poorly. The mayor says, "Listen, dude, stop. You don't treat people like that here." Governor gets offended, makes him kill himself. Also tells all his boys to kill himself.
Yeah.
But they're like, "Nah, we're not doing that." So the mayor was very honorable and did what he was told. But the 47 Ronin split, which that's what made them Ronin because the master died.
Okay.
And then they plotted, and it was kind of like he's so bad that even the government wants him out. So they got the approval to take him out. And like 2 years later, the 47 went and found that governor or whatever, and killed him, took his head back to that temple, and then they all committed suicide afterwards. Now their job was done. They avenged their master, and all 47 of them plus the master are just buried at this temple that's just right next to the train.
Wow.
Yeah.
And it's like when you go there, it's like it's not even just that story that's amazing. Like it tells you, like, notice that you won't even hear birds. There's no noise there. And it's like, you know what? I don't hear any birds.
Really?
I don't hear anything. It's like you feel exactly whatever it might be. Like the last spot we stayed in Kyoto, we both were like laying down, and she's like, "There's spirits here," and I was like, "Yep, I know. I felt it too, but not in a negative way. You can just tell there's something else here. Like it's just got that feeling."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
It's
That's
super
so cool. I have to go like tomorrow.
Oh man.
That's
I'll settle for
extraordinary.
watching 47 Ronin for now.
You-
Eventually, we'll.
I'll let you know. I'll go. I'll let you know.
For me personally, during my, one of the trips there, it reaffirmed a belief in a higher power. It's like, I don't know who's there, but I felt somebody.
Yeah.
And they were very helpful, and they, answered all my prayers and kept me safe. But like really, like even a physical presence. There was times where I was in this hike, and I was visiting parts that nobody visits because it's like part of a special part of it. And they're like, "Oh, you're not even Japanese and you're doing it. Like, we don't even do it."
Yeah.
And I remember these walkways are not kept up. So you're in the mountains, and I remember it was so just destroyed by the typhoon that the steps I was taking down weren't connected anymore, and it broke away. And I had one of those like spin around, like, "Oh no, you're going down."
Yeah.
Oh.
And I remember the walking stick I had, I just swung it out. I don't know what it hit, tree, something, but I mean, being like this, like completely like horizontal with the ground, not falling, and like it just supernatural feeling of like catching myself at such an angle, and it happened twice.
Yeah.
But that foot or the staff represents Buddha's foot, and so it's like it's like you're not alone on that trip, and just that's just one of many things that happen. But
Yeah.
I'm gonna say I don't know who's out there, but someone's there, and give it
You had a
respect wherever
similar
it is.
experience?
Yeah. Are you like religious in general, or are you just like?
I was raised Christian, like I feel most Americans end up being, and like my dad I was homeschooled, and it was a very Christian centered, like school books and things.
Yeah.
But I never believed how harsh Christianity was. Like you're going to hell if you don't get baptized, and for me, like I always use my stepdad. He's the best dude I've ever met in my life. Just awesome. Been married to my mom over 30 years. He's a firefighter. He's on the FEMA team. He does nothing but try to save people and help people all day long. He don't go to church.
Yeah.
And it's like, if you say that he's going to go to hell, then man, I don't want to go either. I'm going to stay with him. Wherever he's going, I'm going then.
Yeah.
And so I just don't believe, and I don't think he's going to hell. I just don't believe any God that is there isn't going to let that man go and suffer at all.
Yeah. I feel like if there was, like, because so I'm not religious in any sense, but I also don't feel like you have to be religious to be like a good person. Like I don't feel like those are like correlate or anything.
Mm-hmm.
Like you could be religious and be like a horrible person, or you could be not religious and be a terrific person. But if there was something like, who's going to go to heaven or hell, like the Christian asshole or like the non-religious like really good guy? So,
and that's where my mind was. And then when I did that pilgrimage, I just got a little nudged in the way that like, no, there's somebody there, dude.
Yeah, just like reaffirmed for
you.
you.
And it was just, I would say there was just, I mean, I could go all day literally on like here's one example. This was the best one. So when I did this one walk across Japan, I love Japan, by the way. And I had a friend who he was raising awareness for the tsunami survivors. And because they're still suffering. The tsunami came, took their homes, and imagine just everybody's displaced. Your home is gone. The government's still coming with their rent. Your rent's due, dude.
Yeah. And was that like years ago?
Yeah, 2010, 2011 is this, and so in 2013 he did that walk, and it was like, oh, that's cool. I can't take the time off to do that, but that sounds amazing. And then I found the time, and so when I jumped on that with him, we were walking across Japan. We're trying to raise, so basically if you didn't, if they like the Tohoku people, like if they don't get donations, they don't eat. If they don't have some place to sleep, they don't have any place. There's nothing was, it's all gone. And so that was what we were doing, was like, he was mimicking that, where we would walk, and if nobody gave us food, we didn't eat.
Yeah.
And if no one offered a place to stay, we slept on the street. And so it would be both. We would have hard times and good times. Sometimes you get a really nice hotel, and sometimes you get a really nice restaurant. And other times, it'll be a day or two of sucking.
Yeah.
And, sleeping outside and just putting up, a tarp just so you don't get wet, and finding any kind of awning to be underneath. But during that, during that walk particular, I felt the first time I had a higher, like a belief, do you ever, I don't know if you know, like in Hawaiian culture, they have the night marchers. And if you ever see lights in the distance,
Yeah.
It's pretty funny. You're supposed to lay down face up, butt naked, something like that. But that's what it is. Otherwise, because if you look at them, they're going to take you.
Yeah.
And so
What?
that's
I've never heard of this.
Yeah, I don't know the whole thing behind it, but
Hey, Google that real quick.
Yeah, I'm
night-
so
night
interested.
Yourself.
Night.
is it
You
pee on
have
yourself
to
too?
pee on yourself.
And you have to lay face up, butt
Face
naked?
up, butt naked. There's a whole
That's crazy.
But it's
So you would, yeah, that's so
it's
funny.
it's the night marchers
Yeah.
is what you're looking
Night
for.
marchers.
Just some local got some tourists one day.
Yeah,
It was
dude,
like-
lay down butt naked.
and pee on
Marchers,
yourself.
like you're marching.
You seem like you'd have to lay face down not to look at them though.
Should I do like images or?
Oh,
No,
we
Yes,
could do
there you go.
Wikipedia.
Yeah, you could do that.
Hawaiian
It's just gonna be a bunch of
mythology.
naked people peeing on themselves.
Is that something you guys do actively? Like that's happening right now?
No,
Because all I'm
I think
picturing.
I've seen lights in the distance, but it's like
You're having dinner,
they're in the
now you gotta
distance.
lay
It's like,
down
I've never
and pee
seen them
yourself.
coming at me.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Never close enough that you've had to do
that's
it.
the legend. Yeah, that's the legend there. So when
Okay, okay.
there was a portion where we were walking through this battleground of like the bloodiest battle in U.S. in world history.
Yeah.
I think there's over 100 and some odd thousand deaths in this particular battle they had in Japan. Pretty much all of Japan battled to find out what's going to go down.
Yeah.
And we were sleeping right next to one of the main like walkways that the soldiers were using. And I don't know what also in Japan, I believe like 1 to 4 is like when the spirits walk. So you're not supposed to be out when that happens. And so around 2 a.m, I remember I went to like look up and like look at the street. Just felt like I was needed to look that way. And I was laying in the street, on the like next to the road, but we're slipped up next to a building. And I tried to turn my head and I couldn't move. I could pick myself up. I just couldn't look that direction.
Yeah.
And so it kind of freaked me out. So I just set my head back down.
Yeah, I'll just go with
And
it.
then so I lay back down, went back to sleep. And then we were telling a lady later in the trip, and she was like, she thinks something kept me from looking. She's like, you're not supposed to look.
That's
and,
immediately what I just thought of, yeah.
And so I've had like that was one, and then on a separate hike, I said, I've had all these things. Oh, yeah. So anyway, on that hike, I got off track. We would always make jokes while we're walking, like, dude, right around this corner is going to be a 7-Eleven. Or, hey, someone's going to give us a place to stay, and it's going to have this. And we would get there, and it would happen.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. I mean, it'd always, hit or miss.
Yeah.
So before I did the pilgrimage by myself, I was like, watch, I'm going to be on that hike, and I'm going to meet a hot chick, and she's going to surf, and she's going to give me food, she's going to give me a place to stay, she's going to give me weed, it's going to be great. And I was like, it's going to be great. And I was, just talking shit. And then on the walk, I got over it one day. I was just so bummed. I was so tired of walking at this point just because of how long some of the stretches would be.
Yeah.
And it's like, dude, I just want to sit down. And I saw like a bunch of surfboards. It was like a little beach town. And I saw a bunch of surfboards, and I could see that there was like two girls like drinking coffee. It's like, oh, is that a cafe? I'm stopping there.
Yeah.
And so I went there and like sat down and just started talking to them, and it wasn't a cafe. It was a hair salon, and they were just having coffee.
Yeah.
And so but they knew what I was doing, because you're wearing all white, so they know that you're a pilgrim, you're on the trail. And they were like, oh, where are you from? But in Japanese, like I was doing my best busted Japanese, and they had a little bit of busted English. But the girl, one of them was like, oh, it's a hair salon. And she's like, and pointing out like there's 2 more businesses right next to her. And the one was like a dye shop, indigo dye, all blue dye. Didn't know you had shops for that, but they did. And then because it's good luck for them to help you out, she was like, hey, do you want to go get something to eat? I'm like, yeah. And so while we're eating, she's like, hey, my neighbor, the one who owns the dye shop, he's working this festival tonight. And if you'd like to come to the festival, he said you can sleep in his shop and you can go on your way tomorrow.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's awesome. And so I met the hot chick who I thought surfed because of surfboards.
Yeah.
And then gave me some food, found me a place to sleep. So I called my friend. I was like, yo, I just met the hot chick who surfs, and she gave me food and gave me a place to stay.
We're about to get weed, bro. Come over.
Well, he was like, did she smoke you out? And I was like, don't jinx it.
Yeah.
And so go to the festival, have a great time. She's like, all right, I'm going to leave you with him. I'm going to go take care of my kids and whatever. And so she left. And then I stay with the guy. He takes me back to the shop. I put my stuff up, and he's like, hey, come out back. He lived out back, and he grew.
Nice.
And so he smoked me. And I was like, dude, what? It all
Full
came
circle.
true. Yeah, and I was like, but just, and like that was a kind of a nonsense one, but it was so many things that came together. And those weren't ones that gave me belief in higher power. It was just too many coincidences, and just the spiritual ones just kind of you know, were a little bit heavier at the time, just because like you felt everything. You could feel footsteps. You would feel stuff that that's not walking at my pace. That's a different pace. That's a different sound. And you'd be by yourself. And so it just, everything you would encounter. And then there's the chance of bears. There's the most deadliest snake in the world, pound for pound, the pit viper. Oh. There's, have you ever seen the Japanese hornet? No. Those massive yellow and red wasps. Yeah. No, they're the size of your pinky.
Google that. Japanese hornet.
Oh, yeah. No, they're super scary. And they're big enough that they have a face.
Yeah.
Japanese
hornet.
wasp. Or hornet, yeah.
Or wasp, yeah.
I'm pretty sure. There's like...
Have you seen that thing up here? It's like a spruce wasp.
Look at that.
Yeah. So there's this guy who like goes to get like takes animals or venomous animals or bugs, and then he'll like get stung by them, and then he'll rate.
Is that on
how painful it is? And so he's done this.
Is it two guys?
It's two guys. There's also one guy that does it. But
there's only one season of it, right? The pain.
Oh yeah, like he was like, fuck that. There's no season 2.
And these ones will kill you if you don't get medical help fast enough, because they're like crows.
It looks like a
They
Pokemon.
know your face, and they know if they need to tell more of them to attack you. My friend said, don't even step on a dead one, because if one sees you, it thinks you did it killed one, and it's going to attack you.
Yeah.
And man, they're scary. I remember one flew in front of my face and hovered, and when I can lock eyes, you know, and I see your face, dude, that's too big.
Yeah.
Wait. I'm not supposed to see that much detail in your face, dude.
Hey, Google a spruce wasp real quick.
Wow, that's
I think it's called a spruce wasp. It might be like a hornet or something. But there's one up here, and I used to work construction. They'd be on like job sites. But like, look at that, like the bottom left one right there. Like it has this, which I thought went over. Bottom left now. So it has like this stinger that's like, I swear, like when you see it in person. So long? So I guess, and this is just what I read, but that just like shoots out like eggs or something. Like it's used for
into your body.
Well, no, I think it's more for like reproducing.
Okay.
But when you see it, that thing's like the size of a toothpick.
No.
And it's like, I swear, like from like head to like the end of that, it's like that long, and they'll chase you.
Why did God make that?
I don't know. It's the scariest thing ever. So like you'd be like running off job sites, and like I said, like no lie, the size of a toothpick.
Nope.
It's the scariest thing I've ever seen in my life. And even when you read that like they can't hurt you, and that's not a stinger, it's still like not enough.
Nah, you don't need to be near me.
No, not at all.
Like we have cane spiders, and they say they don't hurt you, but those are giant. I don't want to find out.
So how big are like not like size wise, but like popular? That's not even the right word, because they can't be popular. But centipedes are like a huge thing in Hawaii, right?
Oh yeah, they are.
Or is it more like the wild, like not in the houses too much?
I think there's so much. I mean, to be honest, I really think any giant centipede that could be there it can't survive. Too many people on our island.
Oh.
I mean, the biggest ones we see will be big, but it's bug size big. It's still not like crazy. The more scary part is when they let those babies loose, and you have like 100 little ones like this. That one, we've had that outside our front door one time. Like, oh, there's a one, kill it. Oh my god, they're all coming through
right in front of you.
Well, they were just coming up through the cracks of the wood, and they were just coming out, and it was like, oh no! I just started spraying ant spray right down that little crack.
100%.
This girl in high school I knew, she like on the side of their house there was just this fat spider. So she ended up killing it, and inside it was just all the babies.
I know where this is going.
Like all over the side of her house. Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah.
No.
Like after I heard that, I was like, I would never crush one. Like,
a spider?
It was a spider.
Yeah, no, we're done.
Yeah.
In Florida one time.
And they came out.
As we were leaving, like I was rubbing my finger in the lines of the bricks, and one of them.
Oh no!
And then all the little like babies.
Nope.
Oh man, that's why we moved back. Yeah.
Burn it, we're out.
Was it?
Yeah, on the way to go to the airport to come back here.
Out of all the things in Florida, you were the spiders.
With all those babies going around the house.
No, that's horrible. I heard Las Vegas was experiencing like a locust problem, where my sisters literally sent me a picture, or you can Google it, where they're describing, they're just hitting you in the face as you're walking outside. They're everywhere.
So locusts are supposed to be like every several years, right?
Yes.
In Florida, they're year round, all the time.
Oh, gosh.
When we moved there, the first day I got there, I drove up to the house, and there were some plants out front, and there was like this just giant bug. I think I showed you guys when you got there, right? And apparently, like, it was just the shell of it. Like, they shed their skin, and then they go about their business. But it was stuck on this plant, and it didn't move for days. And like, it'd be close enough, I'd be like, I don't want to knock it off the plant because it's going to attack me. So I left it there, and it was still there. And like I said, like it just sheds its skin. So I thought it was a bug the entire time. But they're there year round. They'd be like, you'd find these shells stuck to like our fence in the back against plants, and they'd be everywhere. And you'd hear them at nighttime.
Oh yeah, they're super loud.
It was
Especially, I lived in DC when the cicadas came out. And
that's what they are. Yeah, cicadas.
And those, they're
Go
like every
locust.
13 or 17 years, something.
Either
Yeah.
Las Vegas or
And,
Nevada.
like-
You can type either one, and it'll bring up pictures of just how intense this problem was. So this made me feel better about like Alaskans we're complaining about our weather
we're super
and it
lucky.
being rainy.
No.
Look at that.
Ooh, no way.
So my sister's like, she's a delivery driver, and so as she's walking to people's houses, they're just hitting her in the face. And I'm like, how are you leaving the house? And she's like, I have no choice. I have to make money.
Oh, I would choose not making money.
I would.
Oh man. So
But then you'd lose your house, and you'd have to hang out with these guys
I'm gonna have
outside.
fair
I'm gonna
point.
have
Fair point.
Lysol and a freaking little lighter. And just-
Everywhere you go.
My
Yeah.
brother started doing that.
Oh man.
That's what he said he started doing to help him get to his vehicle.
Yeah. So what are that would be the worst place I've ever been to. What are some like the worst places that you've been to? Doesn't have to be seminar related.
No,
It was-
the scariest places I've been that I felt the scariest moments have been Brazil.
Yeah.
I've had a gun held to my
just-
head in Brazil, so
yeah.
that wasn't
Oh.
fun. And I didn't do anything. They just thought I looked like another drug dealer.
Yeah.
Because I was tan. I used to bleach my hair for competition.
Yeah.
Got a few tattoos, and so when I would go down there, that was the gym we train at. When I would go down, had a sister gym in the largest slum in all of South America.
Yeah.
The favela.
Yeah.
And it was called Rocinha. And so those were our teammates. And there's bad things that happen in the slum, but those are still good people that live there. They're just in unfortunate circumstances. And it is literally the side of a mountain that is all just houses stacked on top of houses,
Oh, wow.
rat nests of power lines that go which direction, and the police won't go in there. They'll drive armored cars in or take helicopters and shoot in, but they
Oh,
will never
wow.
actually go in and stop because
Yeah.
they won't come back out.
That's how unsafe that
Yeah,
area
but
is.
you still have tons of families, and so all of our guys that were training, like that's where they live, and so they want you to come meet their mom and come see my house,
Yeah.
and so one time we all went and they took us up through the top of the mountain, and which is crazy because you get to the top of this favela, which is the largest one in South America, and it's just blows your mind on how big it is. And then you turn around on the side of this mountain, and the other side of the mountain is all still forested with the most expensive English-speaking private school.
I've seen that. Yeah.
It's there. And so it's like, dude, you have the largest poverty ever, and you have the lap of luxury on this side,
Yeah.
where it's like this side can't even cross to go down there.
Oh,
I don't remember what
man.
I feel like it might have been like the Flow Grappling vlog or something like that. Or it could have been like a UFC embedded or something. But they were going with some sort of competitor, whether it was like a grappler or a fighter, and it went into like that deal, and it was like, this is the biggest one, and if you just look over here, it's like the richest people, and it was just the
And that's
craziest
that area,
thing.
and that's so like when you go there, it's like you start seeing those slums everywhere. And so, have you seen City of God? Okay, you should watch that one. That's like an award-winning movie. But the City of God is a city, Cidade de Deus. It's in a town called Jacarepaguá, and it just goes. The movie follows these two guys and just how one uses this life in the slums to try to make himself better and get out, and one becomes the boss of the underworld, and it follows both of their stories, and it's an amazing movie.
Is it based out of Brazil?
Yeah,
Okay.
and it's all Brazilian filmed, everything Brazilian actors, but it's extreme. You're not showing a kid this movie because it showed so at one part they were showing some kids were running around robbing stores, and so some of the other the gangsters, they don't want that police coming in, so they'll have the kids, what do you want? I'm gonna shoot you in the foot or I'm gonna shoot you in the hand, but you need to pick.
Yeah.
And the kid's gonna have to hold their hand out and get shot. It's gnarly
man.
how heavy it is, but that's the way it was there.
Yeah.
And so I've seen City of God as far as not just the movie. I've been to the area, and we just drove by it because it was like we just want taxi guy. You just go through, and then as we're driving by, you see police cars that are shot to shit and just left. So it's like, okay, I don't want to be here anymore.
Yeah, drive faster though.
But as we're going down through Rocinha, we get to the top, and as we're walking down, we'd stopped to watch these kids. They were playing, and this little girl had worked her way on top of one of the houses, and she got stuck. And we're like, oh, shit. So we feel bad because she's up there crying. And we watch these other boys come and help her, and they help her get down. We're like, oh, that was nice. So it brought our eyes up, and while we're looking up, we can see two guys pointing at us from a distance with walkie-talkies. And it's like, I don't really know what to expect, and I don't really speak Portuguese at this point, so it's just like, well, I know that's not good, but I didn't, we're still with them, so I didn't think anything of it. And literally, as we walk around the next corner, a guy's coming the other way with a 9mm, walks past everyone and just stops on me. And they start talking, and I'm just, I'm getting whiter by the moment. And he leaves, but when he leaves, he never takes the gun off me. He just walks until he's out of, around the next corner. And I asked, I'm like, okay, tell me what you said. Yeah. And they're like, oh, they just thought you were another drug. I mean, they were so nonchalant.
Nothing
okay,
about
man.
it. Yeah.
They just thought you were another drug. I'm like, motherfucker.
Happens to everybody.
Yeah,
it's fine.
And so they're making it. By the time we get to we went to go eat, they're laughing their asses off, talking about like how I got so white, and it's not like this is the shit you guys joke about. Like,
right, exactly.
You guys have never been to Tokyo.
All I needed was homeboy to sneeze, and I would have been gone. And it's like, and he looked so like the eyes were so glassed over. Like I don't know how many drugs you're on right now, but you're not there.
Yeah.
And oh god. And so, but it was just like, I've had those moments. I would say, there's bad places in some spots that I've been that I'm not putting myself there.
Yeah.
I kind of stick to my own, I think, like Philippines, I would say out of Manila, I probably wouldn't go too far into the, more the jungle areas. So I just stayed in Manila and never had any issues.
Yeah.
Besides the pollution might have been the worst thing you get over there. At least for me, when you're just staying in that zone.
Yeah.
Because everywhere again is always for competition, so it's not. If there's jiu-jitsu there, it's like it's only so dangerous.
So how'd you end up on the North Shore of Oahu? Right, that's where you're at.
Traveling, doing seminars and teaching, and I was there, and I taught like one class really. I was there, and the main guy was at the time. He was like, I really enjoy your teaching. I don't want to do this too much longer, and would you like to come back and teach? And I was like, I would love to, but not right now. I want to go compete. I was still ready to go, do some competitions. And so that was 2008. And then 2010, I moved, all right, now I'm done competing. Let me see if these job options are still there. Contacted them, and they were like, yeah, come on out. But not knowing that everything had kind of changed in those 2 years, where like the main gym of North Shore had kind of it had shut down. The rec center where they were doing classes was torn down, and then they were doing classes at somebody's house, so it was just no more North Shore Jiu-Jitsu. So when I came back, it was like they had already made another club with another black belt, and so but not everyone had settled into anywhere yet. Like it was still just kind of open. So I started teaching too, and just reopened North Shore Jiu-Jitsu, and then that made a big split because now there's two gyms.
Yeah.
And so that was pretty much just how it happened. That's how we have Sunset Beach Jiu-Jitsu, and then now there's also North Shore. So it was everybody was in the same group, but once I would say the rec center was torn down and there was no real anyone taking a hold of the classes until they had a black belt who stepped up to teach, and I'm sure he was that was then established. It's like if you started teaching it and like I'm not letting this position go. Like I don't care who you are. And so that was it. And then 2010 started teaching there, and we've now celebrated 13 years of teaching jiu-jitsu on the North Shore.
Nice. And where are you originally from?
Virginia Beach, Virginia, I would say is the main. That's where I went to school and graduated from. Every trailer park on the East Coast other than that. Yeah.
Nice. And then wrestled in college or high school, like short wrestling?
I tried out in middle school, broke my collarbone first 10 seconds. Like showed up to the tryouts and I don't know how to wrestle. And they're like, hey, wrestle him. And I was like, what does that mean? Yeah. And the kid just grabbed me and threw me and broke my collarbone. So I was like, oh, well, I don't like this.
Yeah.
Right.
And then ninth grade, I tried out again, but there was no cuts. He just lets you stay on the team. He's like, if you want to be here, be here. Because they didn't have enough people to wrestle.
Yeah.
And so I did JV. I got to wrestle, and I sucked. I lost. And I ended up winning one JV match in double overtime. Okay. So you can imagine how bad it has to be to get to double overtime at JV. And then there was nobody at the varsity spot, so I just got to step into varsity as a freshman and got beat every single time. Wow. Horribly.
Yeah.
And that put a bad taste in my mouth. So 10th grade, I didn't want to wrestle. And then 11th and 12th, I started doing USA wrestling with some friends,
Yeah.
not the, and that kind of sparked a little interest, but I would never go into the season. I would
Yeah.
go into wrestling already like 3 months of wrestling in USA wrestling, and I was already burned out. I don't want to cut weight. And so I would just wrestle for like 1 month of the season and quit.
Yeah.
Senior year, same thing, but I was doing good. Senior, I came out like 5th in the state because of the USA wrestling. And but I never wrestled an actual real match in the state, in the district. I just would get like a 1 month in and think I'm over it. And so I think I just didn't have I didn't like the coach. Nothing wrong with him, just didn't vibe with him very well. Yeah, it wasn't my 9th grade coach. If he would have still been there, dude, that guy would have. That was the kind of coach that you wanted to leave it on the mat for that dude, like just to make him happy because he was just such a good coach.
Yeah.
What makes a good coach? I'm interested in that.
For me at that time, I had never had a coach at anything, and to have someone who was like disciplining but compassionate. He was hard on you, but he's understanding, and then everything he would make you do, he would do and do it better. Like, hey, we're going to run. And he would run with a jump rope and still beat us all. And it's like, dude, like, man, it's like no excuses. And then like, it was like, he was like one of those kind of people. I feel like the kind of man that makes you want to be a better man.
Yeah.
And in 10th grade, it was more like, you're just a guy who yells at us a lot, the new coach. And I was like, you just yell at us a lot. I don't like you. Like, you're not mean. You're a nice man. I like you as a person, but I don't like you as a coach.
Yeah.
Like, you yell at me and I want to punch you. Other coach yell at me, I want to do better.
Yeah.
And, I wasn't a violent kid. I wasn't going to punch anyone. But I just didn't have that drive to, you just didn't get,
Yeah.
it was just whatever for me. And then, but when I found jiu-jitsu, oh man, it was like the missing side of the, it's like the other half of that coin. I was like, that's what I want.
And did you start jiu-jitsu at Team Lloyd Irvin?
Kind of,
or somewhere before that?
Kind of, sort of. So, in the grand scheme of things, it was 4 years to my black belt.
Mm-hmm.
And just under 4 years, cut a month out.
Yeah.
But Lloyd will count it as 3.5 years because he won't count my first 6 months because I wasn't doing jiu-jitsu. I was just wrestling with submissions and fighting. I was doing MMA. So we didn't have a jiu-jitsu class. There was no, I think there was 2 blue belts. One was fake and the other one was a real blue belt.
Yeah.
But very limited in what they knew. They did their best.
How bad do you have to be a fake blue belt?
Yeah, what does that mean?
So we never saw him do anything that made us believe that he knew what he was talking about. Like, someone gave him a blue belt.
He showed up with the blue belt.
He put time on, and he did know a few things. But I remember one time, like, we were doing a move, and he tried to tell us, like, close guard. Yeah. He was like, no, you hold your feet like this. They do this in Brazil now. And I'm like, no, they don't.
Yeah, no, they don't.
I've never even been to Brazil, and I know that. They don't do that. And it was just like, he would just say shit that you knew was so dumb.
Yeah.
And he himself never did anything, but he just had, like, because there's a blue belt, he had earned himself like an upper position in the gym, but there was only 2 of them.
Yeah.
And
you were a white belt at the time,
I was a white belt brand new, and so I don't know any difference.
And that's why I tell everyone in the classes, like, you guys can't listen to blue belts. If you do, you got to question everything they say.
Well, and at that time, we don't know. There's no one else to answer to. I've never seen a purple belt. I'd never even thought there could be a black belt in this shit.
Yeah.
And then the purple belt who was teaching happened to just make his exit for work the weeks before I showed up to the gym. So there was still this like connection to Lloyd, one of Lloyd's, like it was Lloyd's purple belt, but there was no connection to Lloyd.
Yeah.
So one of the white belts went to Lloyd's, came back and got a blue belt. And this was a white belt I did respect. Like, he was like, "Oh man, you're the man. I want to be like you while I'm training."
Yeah.
And then he came back with a blue belt. I'm like, "Where'd you get that?" He's like, "Oh, I got promoted and I went to Lloyd." I'm like, "Who's that?"
Yeah.
And where are you going without telling any of us? Like, you just go train other places? Like, I was so offended.
Yeah.
And I was like, next time you go, I'm going with you.
And where were you at the time?
I was just, I was in culinary school, living at home.
In Virginia?
In Virginia Beach.
Okay.
And then, so the next time he went up to Lloyd's, I'm going, dude.
Yeah.
I went, Lloyd wasn't there. I was like, all right.
Of course.
And then the next tournament Lloyd was at, I was like, "Oh man, I went to your gym, tried to meet you." I was like, so, and he was like, "Cool, man." And I was like, "I'm gonna come back. I'll see you there." And then like a month came by, he sent me one message on an email. "You said you were coming. Where are you?"
Oh.
I was like, "Oh shit."
Called out.
Especially, if you never met Lloyd, he's an intimidating dude.
Yeah.
He's big as shit. So it was like just that message alone, I was like, "Oh my God." So I made another trip to go up there. Trained that time fine, and then I think the next time I went up there, he promoted me to blue belt, and that was like February 2nd, February 2nd, 2002.
Okay.
And then within that same month, I had signed myself out of college, got back a hold of Lloyd and was like, how can I do this full time?
Yeah.
I had a 4.0 in college. I was doing fine. I had a scholarship for cooking. I was really into cooking.
Yeah.
But it just wasn't my passion. My notes became all jiu-jitsu doodles, and I just wanted to do, I was, in essence, being very unwise in my future. I'm just going to quit college and go roll around with some sweaty dudes all
That
day.
sounds wild.
And hope it works out. I don't even know how I'm going to make money from it. I just knew that's all I wanted to do.
Yeah.
So I told my mom, I was like, hey, Mom, I signed myself out of school. I'm going to move to Maryland on Monday. And she was like brushing her teeth. She's like, okay.
Yeah.
What? What?
Yeah. Just
But it didn't
shock
even
about
register.
it.
She's like, whatever, go. And then I left and started, and the deal was I'll teach the kids wrestling. Lloyd would give me a place to stay for a few months till I got on my feet. And then a few months turned into like 6 months. And then he kind of helped us get into an apartment. But it was, when I lived at his house, I was in the basement with another student.
Yeah.
And then when I got the apartment, there was 4 of us in a 2-bedroom.
Yeah.
So it was always like these cramped atmospheres. I vacuumed and mopped the mat from white belt to black belt.
Yeah.
And so I was, it was a very humbling experience at the time. And part of the reason why I left, I didn't see myself advancing in life. I love jiu-jitsu, but I also know that there's more to jiu-jitsu than life,
Yeah.
or there's more to life than jiu-jitsu. Like I got other stuff. I kind of want to go back to college. Did I miss out on some stuff that I should have been doing? Like getting a degree and.
Is that in the works now? Like,
No,
you
not
plan
at
to
all.
do that?
No.
Or you're past that?
Not when I was past that, but just at that moment as, 22, 23 years old and I see, and I'm not from Maryland. That's not my zone, dude. I grew up at the beach. I don't want to be inside these 4 walls that's cold all the time and, every single business underneath it has been robbed and like it's not a comfortable space to be in. I told, by purple belt I was kind of over it, and brown belt I gave him the message that I'm out. I'll give you 6 months, but I'm out. I can't do this no more. And then I ended up getting my black belt right before I left. So I think I kind of forced my black belt, but not in just by the leaving. I beat everyone there was in America that was in my weight class respectively. Like I think the only American I didn't fight was Lovato.
Okay.
And I was the first person to submit Jeff Glover. I was beating up Bill Cooper before Bill Cooper was Bill Cooper.
Yeah.
And I took, I kind of just went through all the brown belts, and then I went to the World Cup in Brazil and I took bronze all by submission. The only match I lost was against Tarsus, and it was by 3 points. Mm-hmm. And that was a really good match. It was a 3 points off a triangle. When you catch a triangle and their head kind of pops out and they got your leg real tight.
Yeah.
It was that. And it was like, man, but that was beautiful. So then I got my black belt, and then next week I won the American Nationals. So there was like no question to me getting my black belt.
Yeah.
But I definitely forced it, I think, with just my competition, my being out.
Yeah.
Because you imagine, if I left at brown belt, somebody's going to give me my black belt. And that would have been all of Lloyd's time wasted. So I knew it. I didn't know he was going to do it, but I just know that's the way it needs to work out.
Yeah.
And so, from white to black with Lloyd, and then I left and started just traveling the world. And
was it important to you to go from white to black with Lloyd, or just under one person? Or
I didn't know you couldn't do it. I didn't know there was another way.
Nice.
I didn't know you could leave.
Yeah.
Branded, dude. I didn't know you could leave. I thought you had to use chose a team and you stuck with it.
Yeah.
And at that time, like, where am I going to go?
Yeah.
Down to Florida from DC, because that's the next jiu-jitsu gym, really, of a black belt, Laborio. Okay. And then where do you go from there? North up to New York and train with Henzo, because that's the only other black belt I know up there.
Yeah.
And until Matt Serra and a few others, but it was those are the 3 guys you could, or Yamasaki, who was also in DC. Okay. But then, Yamasaki and Lloyd's was a beef. So I can't go over there. Yeah. They hate me. And so, not the gym members were cool. Every one of them was cool. In the beginning, Yamasaki and Lloyd didn't have a good relationship, so that spread over into me. Mm-hmm. But I'd say I don't want to talk shit, but I beat them out of it.
Yeah.
I literally beat every one of their guys, instructor included. I submitted all 4 of their brown belts and their instructor in 2-week time frame as a brown belt. I kind of shut down that rivalry, and now we can be friends again.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? What else you got for me? But it was, and I know it wasn't all that, but it's like I have, Mario's super nice. I never had any personal issues with him face to face. It was just, the gym rivalry at the time was always big, you know.
And Mario Yamasaki?
Yeah.
Is that the UFC ref? Is that really?
Yeah.
I never knew that.
Yeah.
That's pretty amazing, though.
Yeah.
Good for that guy. I just thought he was a
UFC ref.
A UFC ref, yeah. So it's nice to see he had credentials behind it. Well,
I don't know.
Not
That's
really.
also fun jiu-jitsu drama.
Yeah. It sounds like it.
His I don't
Just
know
by the face you
personally.
made, I appreciate the drama.
Credentials wise, that was one of the reasons there was a split, because Yamasaki had claimed he got his belt from Marcelo Bering, but Marcelo Bering's dead, so he can't verify it. But everyone I've ever mentioned it to, the moment you mention his name, they don't like that he says that he got his black belt from Marcelo. They get so I know it's a sensitive subject, because I've heard other black belts as well call him out on it as well. But his judo's legit.
Yeah.
And all his guys are legit, but it's just his lineage with the black belt has always been in question, and no one can prove it. But I know Lloyd triangled Mario his very first day of jiu-jitsu, so it's like, I don't know how good your jiu-jitsu is. Lloyd's an amazing athlete, but you got triangled by someone who never did jiu-jitsu before?
On their first day.
So it's like, and that was why it used to be Leo Dalla and Yamasaki. It was Yamasaki Dalla was the academy.
Yeah.
Dalla is Lloyd's instructor. Dalla taught all the classes because he's the legit black belt. Mario ran the business. Something wasn't split fair.
Yeah.
And Dalla split because he wasn't getting paid his fair share. And that was where Lloyd made his way out. I believe another black belt actually, I'm not 100% sure. I'm pretty sure what happened is Mario got called out at a prominent black belt seminar, being called to get out of here. You're not a real black belt.
Man.
And then he told Lloyd, you should go be by yourself. Don't stay there.
Yeah.
Like, I get you're staying at the gym because that's where you trained, but don't stay there.
Did Yamasaki ever did he teach the classes over there?
No.
That's why even when the guy left.
Yeah, and so Fernando Neto and the other I think it's Francisco. There's another Yamasaki, and then there's Neto. There's other guys who were teaching the classes.
That should tell everybody something right there, right?
Yeah.
Even when the instructor left, he didn't start instructing. I'll find somebody to teach you guys. Don't worry.
But from what I understand, his judo's legit.
Yeah.
And like I said, I've never had any personal issues. I do know that there was a lot of shit talking going on because they would screen. One of their students felt bad, and he would screenshot me. They had like a group chat to talk shit.
Yeah.
Among the gym.
Oh,
Yeah.
goodness.
I was like, what? Why do you have a group chat to talk shit with guys you can just talk shit to?
Yeah.
You don't have to make a chat about it.
Yeah.
But, I really did enjoy it. I mean, all of their members were really nice. The members were super cool. It was only, like I said, I feel like I just got the spillover from the original split that had like some leftover, beefs. But I still, I'm still friends with a lot of them. I'd say one of my best friends from, that I've made in jiu-jitsu was from their gym. And rest in peace, he passed away a few years ago, multiple strokes. But I feel like that, I feel like from jiu-jitsu too, like being choked too much.
Oh, no.
I think they said they found scar tissue in his arteries.
Oh,
and I feel like that. And he was a hard-headed dude. They call him the Rock because he's very hard to beat. But I feel like, dude, did you jack yourself up too?
Fuck.
But man, he was like one of the best dudes ever. And you know what I mean? But like I even visited their gym when I was still not on good terms, and the students would always be, for the most part, pretty cool.
Yeah.
Without disrespecting anyone else, by just outright being super nice to me, I think.
Yeah. So then black belt in 2006? 2005? Okay. And then ADCC 07. And then was that the matches with Henzo and Saulo Ribeiro?
Mm-hmm. I had already fought Andre and Marcelo before that match, but I did much worse with both of them. I think I was still very shell-shocked to or not, that's the right word, but just freaked out that I'm going with these guys.
I could imagine, yeah.
And
absolutely.
I remember when I fought Andre in the Pan Am finals of 2006, I was just having a good time eating acai out not in the parking lot, but walking around the building.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden I hear my name and about to be DQ'd. So I run in with my acai and I'm like, what do you mean DQ'd? They're like, dude, the finals, I'm like, I'm in the finals? They're like, and I'm like, with who? They're like, Andre. Yeah. And he's bouncing up and I'm like, oh shit.
Oh no.
So now I'm like trying not to throw up, which I did a lot in my mouth during the match. I was just so nervous. I wasn't ready for the finals and I didn't think it would be with Andre. Like I didn't even, I don't care when I compete. I'm not checking the brackets. I don't, I'm going to go and do what I'm going to do. And if I lose, it's going to happen. It's not because I looked at who I had. That doesn't change whether I see it or not. And then I don't do another game for another person.
Yeah.
I do my game and I do my best. But I lost to him by like a choke. And then Marcelo, when I fought him, I lost by an armbar. And the second, so in an ADCC in 2007, I beat Henzo by just repetitive triangle and omoplata attacks.
Okay.
I think he cut too much weight, and I could tell he was not all there. He was doing a good job defending, but I definitely felt like I had an edge. I just couldn't finish him.
Yeah.
And then they gave me that match. Then I fought Salo. Salo took my back and had me a rear naked within 30 seconds of the match.
Yeah.
Jeez.
And I popped my knee, which is kind of like, if you watch the match, you can, if you understand how knees bend, you can see that's where your knee popped, and that's why you're not moving. Because I had to like get myself together. The knee popped in the inside because he kind of pulled me back over it.
Yeah.
And so like, I'm just trying to defend the choke while like let the throbbing go down on my knee. It wasn't a super bad pop. It was just enough that you got to give it a second.
Yeah.
And then he was choking the shit out of me, and I remember even the referee was fucking with me. I was if I could meet the referee again, I want to ask like what was your, you're a dick, dude. You were trying to make me lose. I was defending with my hands, and he said if I don't, and he's like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "Yes." He's like, if you don't give me a thumbs up, I'm gonna call it.
Oh
Yeah.
no!
I'm talking to you,
I
bro.
said, yeah.
You better let me go to fuck to sleep, dude.
Yeah.
And so I had to like, fuck you, dude. Like
yeah.
I was so pissed at that point. And then I felt Salo squeeze, and I felt it loosen.
Yeah.
Oh.
I felt it squeeze not so tight, and I'm like, oh. And you know how that feels, dude. You get that rush of energy. Oh, I'm back, baby. Ripped his arm off, turned around, passed his guard. I was on fire after that point. And then I didn't really have anything to do to finish him. He just went for my foot and put his foot in my face.
Yeah.
I grabbed the first one. And if you grab the, if I'm here and grab the near side foot, it kind of is a little difficult to get him. You got good power on your leg. He tried to use the other foot, and dude, when I turned that foot, it just crumbled into graham cracker crumbs.
Yeah.
I didn't even get to put the finish on, and it just, I got the yell tap, which Salo don't tap. I got the yell, and then that one had me like shaking afterwards, like, oh shit, you just submitted Salo, and so that was awesome. Marcelo was a great match. Still terrified, and I was able to sweep him, but and even when he got the choke, I thought I was escaping it. No, I escaped the position, not the choke. And then he finished me, and then Andre was a good battle. It was like 5-2 or something like that. I don't remember what the score was exactly. I just remember it was back and forth. Remember I pulled him right into a triangle right off the get go, but Andre's got a good little way of like turtling up his head and like you catch like right above the ear a little bit. So he just kind of waited his time and snuck his way out. But much better match with him that time. And then that was it. That was my 2007 ADCC that I got invited on 2 days' notice.
Oh, nice. And you ended up getting fourth? Is that right?
Yeah. I did the trials, and I fought Vocek in the finals. Enrico Coco, I'd fought him in part of it as well. But I took second. I lost to Vocek by, I think, a back take. He ended up catching my back at the very end, and it was like, there you go. It's over.
Yeah.
And they took him. And they took Drew Fickett, who didn't even place. Drew Fickett fought UFC.
Yeah,
so they
just
put
had
him,
the name value.
Right.
Yeah.
And then somebody had to drop out because I got the phone call 2 days ahead of time. I was in Guam, 1 o'clock in the morning at a bar.
Yeah.
When I got a phone call to be in Trenton, New Jersey the next day to weigh in. And I mean, it kind of caught me off guard. Like, no, I told Lloyd, what about Mike Easton or somebody? Get one of them dudes. I'm not even, I didn't think it was possible. And he's like, then he called me back and he's like, listen, they're going to get you a ticket. You leave at 4 a.m. And I was like, oh my God. So I had to go sober up real quick. Went and found some ramen, like late night ramen, was eating that. And then I get there and I just happened to be on weight because I fight where I'm at usually. I don't try to cut. So I was 2 pounds under. I was like 167. And I'm going to go eat. I'm not going to start eating good now. So I go have chocolate milk and lasagna.
Yeah.
Freak everybody out. Everyone at the restaurant who's competing is just like, what the fuck are you eating?
Trust me.
Yeah.
I know my body.
Listen, I don't need to switch it up now.
Yeah.
But I did. I had one of the best turnouts, showings I've ever had. And I feel like I've had a few of those where like it'd be like 4 Cinnabons prior to a match and I'll just be on fire. But obviously it's hit or miss. But that was my work to get there. It was just all by chance. I didn't expect to go. Didn't practice no-gi one bit. Never rolled a drop of no-gi because I don't like it.
Really?
I don't like no-gi
even now. Oh,
I'll tell you, if we could somehow stay magically dry, and I don't sweat, I'll enjoy it. But because I sweat like profusely within the first 30 seconds, and I'm instantly disgusting, I don't want to roll with myself anymore. Like I hate it.
I have a real sweating issue too, like, and the same thing. Like as soon as it starts, like I was like, oh, it's mostly because I like have horrible cardio, and I just get exhausted and gassed out immediately. But I just start sweating. But it plays into my game because I have to scramble and I have to move, and it's just all about escaping for me. So if we have the gi on, I can't do that at all.
Yeah, like if we could project your brain on jiu-jitsu, Like, what does it look like? Because I feel like when you described it, right, when we did your seminar on Wednesday. No way, that's my brain on Jiu-Jitsu. And I'm trying to have you clarify it and
just
add
one
some,
with a club, bonk, and then take it, bonk.
add some science to it for me, because I'm like, you obviously have this magic sauce, and we're all interested in like knowing how did you figure it out? How'd you piece it together? Because I do feel like there's two monkeys in my head, and they're just like hitting each other, and it's all a scramble.
Yeah.
And I get really lucky in these scrambles sometimes, but I'm a purple belt at this point, and I can't bet on luck anymore.
No, sure. But I would say luck is when preparation meets opportunity, and I'm always prepared. So that's the idea. Is I as far as when I play luck into it, I do say I play a lot into it, but I make sure that I set myself up to win. But that's not anything I feel like you can just necessarily tell someone. I was really lucky. Lloyd is, regardless of anything you can say about him, that man knows what he's doing with jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
He's, so savvy with the mind, and he can construct moves. I remember when he hurt his neck and he was bedridden for over 6 months because he had ruptured like the C2, C3, C4. It was like, do you need spinal surgery? Like he was, they thought he was paralyzed at one point. And when he came back on the mat, his cardio was crap, but he was doing stuff that like, dude, how did you even think of this?
Yeah.
And it's so effective. Like he didn't need to practice it ahead of time. His mind knew what he'd been training long, he knows ability. And so I was the first time I ever saw like real mental visualization just play out. And so even he would explain a move, and it's like, dude, that's amazing. Like just how he'd piece things together. When I lived with him, he would wake me up at 1 or 2 in the morning in his underwear, and he'd freaking, just like his BVDs, and he'd come in, like, do something, knee on belly, choke, and then he'd just walk right back out. Wouldn't tell you what he was doing and what he was thinking. You're just all jacked up real quick, and like, dude, I'm awake. Why? What'd you do? And then he's back in his room, already thinking about it, and it's like, dude, you could at least told me what you're, let me get some bonus moves off this, but you're just getting woke up in the middle of the night because he needed a body. Yeah. But then him, and then there's another black belt named Roddy Ferguson, if you've ever heard of him. He's a judo Olympian. He's a black belt under Laborio. He got his brown belt all the way with Lloyd, but then he moved to Florida, and that's where he got this jiu-jitsu black belt from American Top Team. But Roddy, I've never met a more disciplined man in my life. That dude, he was getting, I don't know if it was his doctorate or whatever it was. I'm pretty sure it was a or master's. At the same time, he's preparing for the Olympics. So it's like his schedule, like, up at 5 a.m., and then 5:30 to 6:30 is running, and 6 to 6:15 is this, and 6:15 and here is this. And it was so structured. And when it would come time to train, I was the only one who would just keep showing up every day. Everyone up, like, because that's a 220-pound man when he's competing. I don't know what he weighs when he's not. Yeah. Because it's a 100-kilo division, and I would just keep coming back. Like as a young, I wasn't like anywhere near his size, but I'm young. I heal every day. Yeah. And so I would come back every day. And so he would implement systems of like the Olympic training system where it was really organizing all my thoughts. And so now it's like, I would say the secret really is I feel is to treat it like you would did you go to college?
I am currently, yeah.
Well, I did not, so I don't know what, but I do. But when I did get my 4.0 in college, I took my notes. Yes. I did extra things. Being at school, that's just to get checked in as an attendance and say you went. Yeah. It was all my extra stuff that made me, good. Like I would get outside learning from this, or in jiu-jitsu, I would ask any private lesson I could take, I took it. Any seminar I could go to, I went to. Any, anything I could do. And there was no YouTube, whatever VHS you could get, whatever, magazine you could look at. And then I would start organizing my thoughts. Like one exercise, write down every position you can think of. Every single combination of where you could put your arms and feet and everything and that makes sense in jiu-jitsu, write it down. Because if you can think and write them all down, no position should be brand new to you. Right. Nobody should put you anywhere that you wouldn't recognize immediately unless it wasn't written in your list. And then when they do it, I got to write these ones down. I see. And so now I mapped my whole game out. And when I did that first time, I think at Blue Belt, I came up with over 200 positions. So if you have side mount, you can put your arm under the head. You can have both knees in. And you can have this arm holding your hands. Or you could check the hip. Mm-hmm. Or you could have this leg back and drop this. I'm doing that as purple belt now. Or you could drop this leg and hold this one. Or you could bring your arm over the head and sit this way. All these different ways you could sit, whether you play them all or not, as long as they're actually, true. Like, I put my finger here. That doesn't work. No. I mean, real holding positions. And then I did it again at brown belt, and it went from 200 to 600 positions. So within 2 belts, I had now doubled or tripled my amount of knowledgeable positions. Just, and I just didn't think of doing that drill again. But then I would have a game plan. Ideal, if we're talking about competition, how do you start? Well, I always start on my feet. And do you shake hands whenever you meet up with the person in the very beginning? Mm-hmm. Okay. After the referee says go, there's some people do another high five, yeah?
Yeah.
Well, do you do that? Me? Fuck you. No, we touched already. You put your hand out, I'm going to grab that joke.
That second high five is always like, what do we do?
No, exactly. And my coach, you put that in your game plan. If you are not going to high five them again, do not high five them again, because now you're playing into their game. They're going to make you reach. And if they want to be dicks and pull your hand off that handshake, you fell for it.
Yeah.
So it was like everything down to that order, even to like, can you switch the color of your gi mid thought? While you're drilling your moves, can you picture the gis you're wearing? Can you picture the scenario? So you would have us really play hard in the mental visualization, just being able to control your thought and understand. You really do dictate, not just kind of, I would say, like very blurry vision, just scoot through in your mind. And so then it would be, all right, best case scenario. I get my grips, I go for this takedown, and you land, let's say, side mount. All right? And then what do I do from the side mount? I do this move. All right, let's say you do that same takedown, but you land in half guard. Now what do you do? And that scenario of being in top half guard on top, let's say, of you, I should do the same thing that I would do if you pulled half guard.
Yeah.
Like, why is there a difference? I don't do a different move because we got there a different way. I know what to do once I get to this half guard position. Yeah. Now, what if I do my takedown and end up in your close guard? Regardless of me doing the takedown or you pulling close guard, I'm still going to do the same opening.
Yeah.
Or go my same route. And so every position would have a best of, a worst case, or every option. So whether it happens or not is regardless. I'm ready for it. It's not blind to me. I've seen it. Mm-hmm. And then I got to get better at recognizing, if there's only 3 options, get good at recognizing those 3 options. And if that's all you have to worry about. And so I try to put myself in positions where I limit the amount of options you have so I can really focus on the I know enough jiu-jitsu now that I know what you're supposed to do. And unless you do something new that I haven't seen, you're not going to trick me.
Yeah.
And if you trick me, that's jiu-jitsu. That's what all of us feel. Like, I never seen that. But now you've seen it, and now you recognize it, and if it's something you need to avoid, you play in your game. Have you ever reached your arm out too far and got your elbow popped?
Oh, 100 times.
But now you know not to do that.
Yeah, facts.
And sometimes it happens.
Do you actually know not to do that now?
I'm telling him that now.
Well, I'm saying, but you know better.
But next roll.
It doesn't mean you don't do it. It just, you know better. And if someone hits you like, I didn't think they would do that. You're like, no, I knew. I did it before. Yeah. Last time I did that, they did it too.
God, Stephanie, your elbows. That's right, frame.
And so it's basically just, I don't leave anything to chance. Everything is organized and it's written down. And there's another match that was really good. I fought Riley Bodycomb in 2012. And before it, I did a podcast. It was called Open Mat Radio. Mm-hmm. It was with this guy named Paul Moran, rest in peace as well. He passed away due to cancer, and he was awesome. Really good guy for jiu-jitsu. And I remember during our interview, I was telling him the same thing about my game plans. And I gave him my game plan. I just sent him a copy of it, of step-by-step of what I'm going to do. And I told, in the game plan, if I pass the guard, I put my leg back in. I let them grab back onto my leg, because when I push on his knee, that hand comes around, and I'm going to armbar him. Yeah. And he got to read it, and he said it was like watching a movie script. He's like, dude, I read it as it was happening, and you did everything you said you were going to do. I was like, because once I put myself in the position, you don't have any, I know your options that are proper, and it's like, not saying you can always trick me, but not really, not unless you're at some upper level and you're hiding something. And so it's, I put him right in that position, and and you can watch that move on watch the match on YouTube, where I put my leg back in, I push on his knee, he reaches his arm, and I armbar him. Yeah. And it's like, and then when you see it play out, you're like, duh, dummy. Yeah. Why'd you reach? You shouldn't have reached. That was complete baiting the whole time. I never wanted to pass your guard. Yeah. But it's like, so now I tell everyone I focus on everyone's bad habits, because we all have the same bad habits. Yes. I do the same thing. You do the same thing. I just might do it less than you do it. Yeah. And you might do it more than he does it. But everyone does it. And so now it's like, when I do my moves, I don't look for like a technique that I'm going to hit. I have like I have a move that I'm going to do, but it requires you to kind of fall into it. Like, one of my best sweeps I take when you're trying to mount me. You're in your best position you're supposed to be in, and you're very confident as you're going. But I just, boom, knock you over, and you're in the moment of your highest confidence, I just push you over. And that's exactly the way you feel. And it's like, I call some of these moves curse sweeps, because people curse when they go up like shit. Yeah. And I love it, because that's just it's a verbal representation of the pain your mind just felt. And so I want my jiu-jitsu to beat you up mentally as well, to where Like I said, you felt it when someone gets tired, that amped up energy you get.
Yeah.
When someone does that, when you're rolling, oh shit, you're tired. You get excited. So it's like I like the mental defeat because you ever gone in a match and someone takes you down? It instantly disrupts the wall. Like, oh shit, I got to recover. It's no longer like you can totally tell the match is in their favor right now when they get that first takedown.
Right.
Yeah.
And so it's hard to recover from that. And so the mental is a huge part of it. So I feel, writing it down and preparing my mental game for as much as I can, and then also the stuff I tell myself in bad positions. Like I tell the class when I'm mounted, it's not shit. It's not, oh no. It's not, what am I going to do? It's, I'm the best in the world from this position. I'll be out of here soon. I'm the best in the world from this position, and I'll be out of here soon. And I'll just repeat that. And it can be dumb or whatever it was, but guarantee I don't get caught in the mount no more.
Yeah.
Like, it just don't happen. Unless you're some incredible size and strength, mount's not my scary part no more. Like, I'm more scared in, like, you're De La Hiva or something like that. But side mount, I'm getting out. 100% I'm getting out. I'm so confident I'm getting out, I like to start there just so I can kick the game off by making you feel bad.
Yeah.
In your most dominant position. But that's, now 23 years later or 22 years later in jiu-jitsu,
Yeah.
you got to focus on different stuff.
Yeah, for sure. Your ride's got to be about here. So start wrapping this up.
Sure.
North Shore Jiu-Jitsu.
Yes, sir.
North Shore Oahu. Nonprofit? Is that right?
It started as a nonprofit,
Okay.
and when I say nonprofit, we still apply all the nonprofit rules. We have when I say it, we have a tuition. I just keep it very fair comparatively, as far as, the rules of the nonprofit, as far as like you're allowed to accept donations. You just can't be charging more than everyone else charges.
Okay.
So when we did it as a nonprofit, it really was we had to be a nonprofit to teach at the rec center. They're not letting you teach class if you're not a nonprofit. And so we began the gym as a nonprofit. And then as we got into an actual space, there was no reason to switch it to like a business LLC. It's already an LLC as a nonprofit.
Yeah.
And so we just kept it, but we reserved the right to offer scholarships. And it's like, man, if you're having hard times right now, training never stops.
Yeah.
Dude, pay me when you can pay me. Like we'll figure something out. But it's like I use that to I would say, never we'll figure something out. Like money is always the last reason. But everyone's got to understand this is how I eat.
Yeah.
This is how I take care of my family. So,
Right.
and it's never been an issue. Like even, nobody has like I said, we don't charge a lot. We actually are in the, talking about how it's been too long and we haven't raised prices, and it's kind of hurting us at this point where, it's been a decade I haven't raised my prices, but it's like, I kind of got to. I can't keep biting that bullet for everybody.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to revamp it and make it, something that's still fair, because, I guarantee you every gym on island has raised their prices.
In a decade?
In a
for sure.
decade,
The price of
exactly.
inflation in a decade is
The
outrageous.
last couple of years, yeah.
Yeah, no,
Even
so-
the last 2 years.
Yeah.
And so for us, we've always tried to be something that for the community, by the community. If my goal is my name's not on the gym, I don't want any kind of affiliation as far as right now. If you go there, they expect to learn from me. I get it. I'm still in that moment. But I don't want your reason to be doing jiu-jitsu because I'm the one teaching class. I hope you love all the people that are there and you want to learn how to defend yourself. And you're in a community of people who live and support, and they're around you. Those are your neighbors, and they're teaching you how to be better yourself. So hopefully maybe in that one day in like 5-10 years, you're going to be teaching the next crop of people that come in. So I would really like it to be a community-ran gym. It's just not at that point. It's getting there. We do have a lot of classes divvied up between the black belts that are local there. But it still heavily relies upon myself, especially the kids program with Erin.
Yeah.
If I'm not there, she's the only other one who can really handle all the kids and keep it in that. Otherwise, it's like putting a Band-Aid on a huge leak. You know what I mean? It's like it'll hold it for a hot second, but we need proper fix.
Yeah.
Or something really there. And so my goal is to get other people involved as much in the gym where it can help support them. But at the moment, like I said, it's just we've been making it a labor of love between ourselves, and just we do as much as we can to offer as much help as anyone needs. But that's where it went as a nonprofit. I would say you can do the same things as a business, but writing that down on paper looks a lot funnier.
Yeah. All right.
That was incredibly inspiring.
It is, yeah. I mean,
I was so moved.
So social media, where are you at on social media?
The gym is what's the gym? NSJJ Club. NSJJ Club. My personal one is the Fowler effect, and I think they all have names back and forth, so you can find them.
Yeah.
The gym's address is northshorejiu-jitsu-club.org. And then if you're ever in the North Shore of Oahu, we are on the back side of the Haleiwa post office.
Got it.
So you can always come in, and we don't. Part of one of the things we do is it's already expensive to be in Hawaii. We don't have a mat fee. Not for people who are actually visiting the island.
Okay.
Our visitor fee is meant to be for actual visitors, not
Yeah.
people who live and come by and just want to train. They pay the mat fee. Your ticket and the $8 milk and everything else that costs over there,
Yeah.
that's enough of your taxes on there. So, just come train and have a good time. And, that should not be a worry of expense. Because I know some gyms, we won't name any,
Yeah.
but they have quite a large
There are large drop-ins.
$80, $100 drop in, and then you
Yeah.
got to pay for a gi too. And it's like, good
Yeah.
God. As long as it don't stink, you can show up in whatever gi you got. So,
Please
we
don't
don't.
stink.
Awesome, man. Well, I appreciate you coming
Yes,
on.
sir. Thank you so much for having me on here. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
And you guys fly out tonight. I hope you guys have a safe flight back. And
Yeah, we're done.
that's okay. We're still doing audio. If we're in the North Shore of Oahu, we will look you guys up.
Yes, sir.
100%.
Awesome.
Thank you,
Thank you
thank you.
guys.
Thank you.
Awesome, sir.